There are some things that go bump in the night, and then there are things that go bump in the night that are best left undisturbed. For the staff of Ward C, it began with a bang, and then every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., the air vents would scream like a choir of the damned. First, they blamed plumbing. Maybe it was faulty insulation. The staff joked about the wind getting under the door and whistling a tune. But whatever it was, it only happened at 2:17 a.m., and it drove them crazy. Staff started quitting. Patients began praying. And one night, a nurse had enough. She climbed into the air vent to find the source of the noise. Some said she was crazy. Others said they were just glad it wasn't them in the vent. But that nurse was determined to get to the bottom of this. They say she crawled through the dark and dusty ducts for what felt like hours. The air grew stale, and the only sound was the pounding of her heart. But as she rounded a bend, she saw a faint light ahead. Then as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. And that's when she heard it again, the sound that had tormented her and the staff of Ward C for so long. It was coming from the other side of the vent. She crawled towards it, her curiosity overriding her fear. Then suddenly, the air vent opened up and she tumbled out onto the floor below. She landed hard, but she was okay. And as she brushed herself off, she looked back at the vent. But whatever was on the other side had vanished. All that was left behind was her stethoscope. And whoever or whatever had taken it clearly had no intention of returning it. The next morning, the staff gathered around the vent, but all they found was her stethoscope. To this day, it's still a mystery what was on the other side of that vent. Some say it was a ghost, others a creature from another dimension. But the staff of Ward C never forgot the sound that haunted their dreams, the sound of something sinister lurking in the shadows waiting for its next victim. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been so glad that I don't have a creepy crawly story. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I was going to tell you about the time that I woke up in the middle of the night and felt something crawling on my face. I sat up in bed and turned on the light, and it was my cat. But before I could even yell at him, he jumped off the bed and ran away. And then I noticed that my pillowcase was full of these little pebbles. And then I realized that my cat had been using my face as a scratching post. But it wasn't my cat. It was a field mouse that had somehow gotten into my bed, and it was using my face as a scratching post. And then I remembered that I had read somewhere that if you have a mouse in your house, the best thing to do is to make yourself a nice cup of tea and wait until it runs across your path, because then you can capture it and take it outside. So I made myself a cup of tea and waited. And then after about an hour, the mouse ran across my path. So I grabbed a glass jar and some paper and I was going to capture it. But then it ran away. And then I thought, why am I doing this? This is stupid. And then I went back to bed. But then, in the middle of the night, I woke up again, and I felt something crawling on my face again. And then I remembered that I had a glass jar and a paper towel on my bedside table. So I put the paper towel over the glass jar and I yelled at my cat. And then I realized that I didn't have a cat. And then I started screaming. And then I remembered that the best thing to do is to make yourself a nice cup of tea and wait until it runs across your path. But by now, I was really scared. So I got out of bed and started looking for the mouse. And then I saw it running across my pillow. And then I grabbed the glass jar and I was about to capture it when suddenly it disappeared. And then I realized that it wasn't a mouse. It was a dream. And then I woke up. But maybe it wasn't a dream because sometimes at night I still wake up and feel something crawling on my face.